Let me take this here. Yeah. Uh, today's the topic that I'm going to cover is custom internet Flutter, as Sunny already mentioned. Um, so without taking much time, let's get started. So this will be the things that I'll be covering today. Like initially, it will be basics that what linting actually is. Why do we need custom linter? Basic things, and then we will cover that how one can create your own custom linter. And then the last one will be some best practices. Like if you're creating your own linter, then what will be the good things that you should do so that others again can enjoy the code that you have written. So this is the thing that we'll be covering. Before that, let me introduce myself. I'm Hemish Pancholi. Currently still in college actually in the third year. Um, Developer like coding for almost last 7 years or so. I have written two books. One is on Flutter and another is on backend. Also created my own encryption decryption algorithm. Uh, has copyright and patent and all this stuff also. I also have written a few of research papers again on algorithms and a bit other things. So these are all of the things that I've done. So yeah, let's start with the actual topic. So the first topic is about introduction on what actually linting is and what its importance is actually. So before I start, do note that the title sliding actually bit of code of a kind of a thing. So here it's generic. So we are talking in general what linter is. In future, it will change from generic to actually the linter itself. So yeah, do take a bit of note on that. It will actually enhance a bit more things. Yeah. So the reasons to use linter are very basic. Like while you are coding, it will show you error detection. Like no doubt there are default linters that come up with Flutter, but they essentially enhance our warning system. Like if we are doing something which might break our application in future, like we are using state after a delay or asynchronous function that might break due to state errors and memory leaks. So that's the linting warning. Then coding standards should be consistent. For example, we are having a team of 10 people coding on Flutter. So now each person would have a different style of coding, obviously. So due to which the issue might appear that each one has different coding standards. So that may cause multiple issues in future when the code base grows a bit more larger. So for that also, linting helps quite a bit, by which we set a same standard among all of the people, due to which we can have equal code quality and yes, it also increases the code reviews. So if you are having proper linting, then the code reviewer doesn't need to what to say look for basic things like are they using step set properly or they have concept where and all the stuff. So if your linting added in CI/CD pipeline and all the stuff, then code review becomes much easier and quicker. So these are the few reasons to use linter, and these are the few benefits. Like the entire project is being checked every time, code style becomes consistent, bugs can be detected very quickly, review overhead again, as I mentioned, the time to review the same reduces by quite a lot. The code base becomes very scalable very easily, and CI/CD can also be integrated very easily. So these are the few benefits. So this was about the basic general things that what linter is and all. So again, let me also cover in a more easier language. So linting is nothing like, for example, you are writing some code, and sometimes that yellow line or red lines appears in your code, right? So red line defines errors, like there are some syntax error or something like that. And yellow line actually is linter in action. For example, you are writing a Flutter code, and sometimes it will show that const is missing. Why is const missing? Again, if I wasn't like if I won't write const there, the code will still run without any issues. But with having const, it ensures that performance of map will be much better because the const widget won't re-render each and every frame. So that's a small thing. So main point is that squiggly lines in the bottom of your line, um, yellow lines are actually linters. So that's what linters actually do. And now this is kind of a weird thing, but yes, we'll be writing our own warning system. Flutter has their own warning system, error and warning systems, but we'll be writing our own that will actually warn us about a few mistakes that we might do. So yeah, that's what linter is. And again, why we should use our custom linter? Flutter has its own linter, like the one that's available on pub.dev and all this stuff. But why we want our own linter? So a few of the results are like Flutter has its own conventions, right? But again, what if we want our own conventions? That might limit us. So in that scenario, we might need to create our own. Then using a custom linter also allows UI feedback and all code quality to be like more specific to our own needs. Linter does provide us code quality assurance, but if we want code quality to be as our own needs, then we would need to use custom linter. And having a custom linter also ensures indirectly that the performance of the app is far better. So that's also another thing. So now you all have a basic idea that what linter is and why we need a custom linter in some scenarios. Again, having a custom linter is very rare case. Like we won't be adding custom linter everywhere. It's a very rare thing, and it will be only majorly used in corporate world where there is a team of 10, 12, 15 people, or where we are developing on a very high pace and on those scenarios. So now how we will be doing this? So first of all, we'll be defining a rule that what we actually want to link. So again, right now I'm taking a very basic example. So while coding, you all would have added color tags, right? Like I'm writing a normal color 0x, FF and all that stuff, right? So this is actually a bad practice according to Flutter. Reason being that what if client asks me change color everywhere, then I'll need to go to each and every place and change this. It's a very bad practice, obviously. And Flutter provides theming for the same. So why should one use this color and not use theming? So we can write a linter of our own, which enforces us to use this kind of syntax, proper theming that Flutter provides instead of the color tag that color one that we use. So this is the rule that we'll be defining today. Uh, so for the same, the first part is to create your own Flutter package, a very basic Flutter package. So for that, we'll be using that create, and it will be a package type package, and we can name it anything. For example, I would name this as my Flutter Linter, and I'll change directly to the same. And yeah, then we'll need to add these following dependencies. Analyzer, it is actually used to analyze the Flutter code and create AS and all the stuff. I'll go a bit more depth in later slides on the analyzer itself. Then there is a custom lint. Again, because we are creating our own custom linter, so we would need this library. And the final is test. So as we are in a production code, we'll be writing test for each and every function that we are coding. It's a good practice to write test. So for that, we'll also need to have test. Um, After adding all of them in the pub spec, we'll just do pubget, which will install all of the libraries. This will be the basic, sorry, this will be the basic project structure of our own. So inside of the lib, we'll create rules, and inside of the rules directory, there'll be multiple links that we'll be defining. So right now we're only defining one, so there's a single file, our hard-coded colors, and there is this main file, my flutterlinter.dat. It's like similar to the main.dat where the entire package starts from. And again, as I mentioned, we'll also have test written. So that's test, and for now, nothing will be there in the example and all that stuff. So this is the basic structure of the linter that we'll be creating. So now let's move to the actual code of linter. Again, the code might look a weird, complex code, but it's actually very simple. Before I actually jump into the code, you would need to know about AST. So AST is nothing abstract syntax tree. You might have heard the same in engineering, in compiler design subject. It's actually a tree, like Flutter creates its own three trees, if you know, which is tree, element tree, and render tree, right? In the similar way, Dart also creates its own tree known as AST, abstract syntax tree. It's nothing. It's just a tree that Dart creates to actually parse the language that you've written. Again, if you know every file, regardless it's a code file or a text file or anything, it will be array of string under the hood, right? Each line will be a single string and it will be array of string, right? So now AST, like the parser, will take that array of string that is your file and convert a tree like create a tree out of it. It will be a normal tree. It won't be a binary tree. It will be an tree where each and every node defines a specific what is it? A specific syntax. For example, there is a node for if. It will have parameters of condition, and inside if there will be two child, if true, if false. So this kind of an entity will be created by the language. And this tree is created only for parsing the language and actually executing the language. So for that, will also creates its own AST. And now we do have a basic idea of what AST is. Now we'll do a basic tree traversal, and just from the traversal, we'll do the linting. So why would we need to do the traversal? The basic reason is that we are checking if there is color present, like the color when present in a code or not. So to check that, there are two options. First one is that we can just check the entire file, iterate to each and every line and check. That's a very inefficient way and should not be done at all. So instead of that, we are taking the AST that has created, and then we'll just traverse each and every node of that AST and check if the value of that node has colors in it or not. That's a very simple thing that we'll be doing. So here's the code. Now we have created a class named as our hard-coded colors. Name can name anything, and we'll be extending it as .lint rule. The reason to extend this is so that um, we can define that this class is actually there to define a custom lint, and then we are just creating a constructor of the same, in which we would need to pass a super constructor in which we are just passing a name and description. Name is a unique string for each and every lint. So generally the general thing that is followed is to write always write a name in a lower camel case. So we have just written our hard-coded colors, and the description is a normal text on what actually this lint does. And so this is what we are just creating constructor. And then there is a run method of that lint rule. We'll be overriding it, and it has mainly two parameters: visitor and context. Visitor is actually the ASD that we have, and context is just similar to the build context that we have in Flutter, but it's lint context, so that we have a context regards linters. Again, there will be multiple lints that will be running, so we would need to interact between each one of. So to interact, we have lint context, and now we'll just use the visitor to visit each and every instance that has been created. It's a very long name, but it does nothing. It just traverses the entire AS tree, and for each and every node, it uses an instance. It's a very simple thing. So it it is used to iterate the entire or traverse the entire AST, and for each and every node, that is the class, we'll just check the constructor name. Like we'll get the constructor name, like node.constructor name. We convert it to string, and we'll check if it starts with color or not. Now, the reason to check if it starts with color is that um, for every node in the tree, if the node is of color, like if it is a color in the bracket 0x FF and some hexadecimal, so now each and every one will start with a color and a bracket. Okay. So again, string will be different. So it won't match up because we're in AST. So this is a basic thing. And now if this becomes true, then we'll be certain that hey, there is lint error at this place. Why? Because there is color present, and we don't want color to be present. That's what we are trying to enforce. So this line will answer that hey, there is a lint error. If there is a lint error, we'll just report lint. So context, as I mentioned, there is a lint context similar to the build context. We'll just use this and use the method report lint that will actually report that hey, there is this lint error at this node, and now we'll need to pass a node. The reason to pass a node is very simple. So while you are coding, you also need to define where that squiggly line will come, that yellow line. So to define where the line will come, we need to just pass a node. So it will pass a node, and Flutter will do all the things under the hood, like it will again traverse to that node, add the link running, all that stuff will be done by that package itself. So our only thing that we need to do is just report that link that hey, there is this error at this point. So that will be sorted. And once the yeah, this is the basic code. And now, as we have seen, there is that lint that we have defined like this. Our hard-coded colors is just a class. The Flutter still doesn't know that hey, we do need to check this. Like again, we would need to import this at any place now. So for that, in the main file that I did mention in the past, like my Flutter linter, we need to just add the that class here. Again, we need to add the object of the class. So we need to import the plugin base, like extend our main class with the plugin base and override its method get lint rules, and we'll just add this method. Here there will be a list of methods. Again, right now we have a single lint, custom lint. So there is a single method, a single object, sorry. And whenever there will be multiple ones, we'll like just add multiple ones here. So that's it. And after doing this, the entire linter code is done. So we now don't need to do anything else. The entire custom linter is created. Now, after creating, we would need to test it, right? Like as I mentioned in past also, it's a production code. So there has to be test written for each and everything. So for the same, will be this is a basic test that has been written in that. It's nothing. It has a dummy code, and then we'll just use run lint on source. It's a method that is provided by our custom lint builder, and we'll just use the method. We'll pass the source, and then we'll just pass the method, like the color one, the object that you created, a custom link, and it will store the same in the result, and we'll just check if the result has that link or not. Like as I mentioned, we would need to define a unique title for each and every link, right? So here we have result dot contents. There will be multiple links, right? So we need to just check if there is a specific link present or not. So we'll just check if there's our hard-coded link present or not. It should be present because we are directly using color. So it expect that it should be true. So this is the basic test step is there to just test if our linter is working or not. And then we'll just run that test, and it will run this test, and under the hood it will run this test, and in that it will pass this code and pass a linter. And now the same linter in this that same code will be there. It's very basic code. Void main color equals to we are defining a color, and now it will have created AST for the same that will create that AST. It will traverse each and every node. It will find that specific color node to be present. It will throw a report that there is a lint error at that specific color node, and it will again traverse to the top and do all of this thing. The traversing and all of those stuff will be done by Flutter itself, sir. That itself, we won't need to do any of that stuff. So this is how it will enter thing will work. And yes, these are the only steps that are required to create a custom linter. A custom linter is ready. It's not any complex thing. It only seems to be complex because we are talking about AST and all this stuff, but it's not complex at all. So yeah, that's a bit about how one would create its own custom linter. And now, as I mentioned, we'll also cover a few of the best practices on why one should create your own custom linter. A few of the reasons are like the rules should be like what to say. The guidelines to for a custom linter are that the rules should be focused and clear. Like if you're creating a custom linter, it should tackle only one issue. It should not like I'm creating a linter. It should also cover colors, cover text styling. No, no, no. It a given linter should only cover a single rule. For example, if I'm creating a linter for color, it should only cover the color tag only, nothing else. That's one thing that one should keep in mind while creating a linter. And the second one is one should always provide a descriptive error message. Like instead of just providing a random print statement or anything random thing, that one should actually have a proper method or a proper description that what the lint is like what actually warning is, and it should also contain that what should be the fix for the same. So that should be there. And the third one is that as there is ASC traversal, again ASC traversal will be done by that itself, but still we do need to optimize our code so that it only traverses the required nodes and not each and every node. So This is done to increase the performance so that whenever you load the file, all the lint warnings appears suddenly. So for that, the entire traversal should be optimized, like use breadth first search, depth first search, and all the concepts, so that it's optimized in a better way. And the final one is that rules should be configurable. For example, um, in the same color one, there is this one issue that what if, like again, we won't be using color in every file. That's a good thing. But we must need to use color at least in the theming part now. Like in the themes folder, I would need to use the colors. So that's a issue. Like at that point, there will be lint warnings, unnecessary warnings, because that is a place where colors are expected to be used. So we should actually allow configuration, right? We can actually just pass that over this path or over this file or over these kind of scenarios. Uh, so that the rules are more configurable and more flexible. And yeah, that's only about custom linter.